right, we're 100 days until the football season begins in the NFL.
Okay,
yeah, that was really lame.
What are you fumbling and dropping his mic?
A little more excitement.
You would think he hadn't been here in 100 days.
I need some more juice. 100 days.
100 days, folks. The Bucs are looking to win the division for a 5th consecutive year. They've been on top of things ever since Tom Brady went there. Baker Mayfield coming off a great season. We have a report from Bucs OTAs. Evan Klosky from our CBS affiliate in Tampa.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have begun voluntary OTAs, and by my count, there were 10 veterans missing. Guys like Mike Evans, Levante David, Vita Vea, Tristan Wirfs, Luke Gedeke. We also did not see Chris Godwin out there, and there remains to be questions about whether Chris Godwin will be ready to go Week 1. Todd Bowles said the expectation is he will be ready for the start of the regular season, but if not, they can always tinker the schedule, right? They just drafted Emeka Egbuka, who is getting rave reviews from his teammates, from his coaches. Graham Barton, the center, spoke today and said that Emeka coming into the building this year reminds him a lot of Bucky Irving when he entered the building last year, and we saw the impact that Bucky had for this offense. When the offense and defense went up against each other today, Baker Mayfield threw an interception to Servassier Dennis, someone who is going to have to be a critical piece to this defense, especially because the linebacker position on paper is the weakest on that side of the ball. The team also only had 7 interceptions all of last season. That is a big talking point entering the 2025 year. Also, I want to mention that Tyke Smith looks like he is shifting to safety. So he was the nickel corner last year, moving the safety. There will be a battle at nickel. And also, Todd Bowles is now having the safeties and cornerbacks in one room meeting so that communication can be better on that side of the football. It also allows Todd Bowles to do what he does best and tinker with that defense. So you could see hybrid roles. Tyke could be safety. He can go back to nickel. There could be a lot of variations in what Todd Bowles presents entering the 2025 season.
All right, Evan, thanks. Staying in that division. No Kirk Cousins at Falcons OTAs. His future in Atlanta very much up in the air. At best, he would be Michael Penix's backup. He's a big-time trade candidate, but the price tag is steep just a year after signing that 4-year, $180 million deal. So we have Pete Prisco and Kyle Long with us. 100 days to go until the season.
Your energy is really lacking.
It's really? I mean,
Yeah.
am I overcompensating with my hand gestures? Is that the is that the thing?
100 days, Chris.
Yeah. Where do we see Kirk Cousins in 100 days?
There's bad blood there in the organization between him and that team. When he came out during the offseason and said that he was hurt and he wasn't on the injury report, that really angered that team. And so they're kind of holding him hostage. I hate to say it, but they are. Until some team's willing to pay a portion of that guaranteed money, I don't think he's going anywhere. And so I think...
Could the Steelers get that desperate if Rodgers doesn't go there?
Possibly. I think that's the only team that's possible in terms of desperation to go pay money to get him, because you got to pay that cash right out of the bank. That's in addition to his salary as well. So I don't think anybody's really clamoring to go get Kirk Cousins. And here's the other thing. If you're the Falcons, do you want him in the building? Do you want him as the backup to your guy who you're trying to develop as your starting quarterback and your franchise quarterback? You want him looking over your shoulder at this? So I think they're both kind of in a tough situation. But I think if the Falcons are going to be stubborn enough, if some team doesn't pay him that money, I think they're going to hold on to him.
Well, they better hold on to him, because I'm not quite sure what the fall-off is after Michael Penix Jr. If you look at his list of injuries throughout his career, it's like my list of demerits in high school. It's very, very long, very long.
You're a bad
Michael
kid.
Penix, when he's right, he's great. But we know how quickly the health can go, particularly in the NFL. So you need an option as a backup. And Kirk Cousins, in my opinion, he's not going to give you the same production as Michael Penix Jr., but you need to have somebody there in case Michael Penix does go down.
What about the Dolphins, Pete? I mean, right in our backyard, Jalen Ramsey right now, that's the biggest issue with them. And you mentioned, and I'll ask you about this too, that they messed this situation up. And he did post, since, you know, we're in the age of social media. Today he posted a number 5, which is his number. It's 5 days till June 1st when they can start splitting up that salary cap. What do you make of the situation right now?
Well, they gave him a contract extension a year ago. I mean, think about that. And now you come out and you say we're going to trade him. And he's got a mega deal. I mean, you look at that number, it's amazing. And all of a sudden, you sit and you say, well, we're going to trade him. Well, you put it out there, so now teams know you're trying to trade him, so the value has gone down. Here's the other part of it. Jalen Ramsey hasn't been happy any place he's been. Let's be real. He wasn't happy in Jacksonville. They traded him. He went to the Rams. He wasn't happy there initially, and they won a Super Bowl, and they still got rid of him. And then he goes to Miami. He complained the whole time he was there, and he's continued to do that. Is Jalen Ramsey ever happy? And so you have to ask yourself this question. For that contract and that attitude, and the fact that he's not a top-level corner anymore, is he worth it for a team? So where does he go? There aren't a lot of options out there for him.
There's that scale. It's like, you know, what a team is willing to put up with in terms of just distractions and somebody being, whether it be a loose cannon or a guy that gets a lot of penalties. There's like how skilled you are and then how effed up you can be. And our guy Jalen ends up somewhere. We're figuring out what the threshold is there. We've seen it, like you said, with a number of these teams: Jacksonville, Los Angeles, Miami, and now we're looking at potentially a reunion there in Los Angeles. I'd say you got to figure out how to get rid of the contracts that you're not completely in love with for the Miami Dolphins. And if this is one of them, you have to find a way to move forward.
You know, you look for destinations for them. I tried to figure it out. You know, the Rams make sense if they want him back. You hear some.
They're so young there, yeah.
You also hear some differing opinions that they don't want him back. But so we'll see. Some people didn't want him back. They have the cornerbacks. They have 3 corners on 1-year deals for the Rams. So maybe that's a possibility if you decide to bring him in there. But I don't think that's, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, where else are you going to get Buffalo? At one point they needed a corner, they drafted one, and they're not going to trade him in the division. There aren't a lot of places for him. So I think Miami's in a tough spot here.
Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals, who have they've pushed all their money into the offense this offseason, and then there's Trey Hendrickson, who's upset, Kyle. How does this thing end up?
I'd be upset if I played football with no gloves too. Trey Hendrickson. Look, this is a guy who is the best in the sport over the course of the last half-decade at sacking the quarterback. That's an expensive job. You got to be paid very handsomely to do that. The Bengals, they sucked on defense. They've got a great offense. They can score a lot of points. When you score points, other teams are forced to pass the ball. When they pass the ball, it plays into the hands of a great pass rusher. You have him there. And Trey Hendrickson, yeah, he's 30. Pay him. These guys are playing until 35, 36 at edge rusher. Pay him. And for Trey Hendrickson, he's saying he wants to stay home, all that stuff. But you and I both know what's going to happen, Pete.
What? What's going to happen?
He's going to play.
He'll play. Nobody sits out.
And the defense will get better, and he'll get a deal. But it just ain't going to happen right now. We tied up all the money in Jamar and T. Sorry, dude.
Well, and Pete, you sort of feel like this with the next player we're going to talk about, James Cook with the Bills, who did tie their franchise record when it comes to rushing touchdowns this past season with 16. We have seen a lot of running backs get those big paydays recently. But to what you said, he's going to show up.
He'll show up, he'll play, and he's not going to get a new contract. I mean, he's just not. You look around that team, they give out a bunch of contracts this offseason. Benford got a new contract. I mean, guys got paid on that team, and they didn't pay him. And there's a reason they didn't pay him. He's a running back. And in that offense, Josh Allen makes it all go. The running game doesn't. And nor, when you look at their running backs over the time when he's been there, he's Singletary, guys like that. Ray Davis can come in and do something. I don't think James Cook is the guy who's the focal point of that offense, and therefore he's not getting a new contract. And I think ultimately he'll show up and play and do some good things, and then he'll be playing on somebody else's team next year.
I was talking about your outfits earlier, but I just realized we all matched today. So good job, team. Good job, team.
He won't say this, but Pete is extremely jealous at the size of Kyle's collar. Pete has been known to have the largest collar in the business.
That is a big collar.
I want to see Pete in that shirt.
Is that even an actual collared shirt?
Big tie.
Is it got buttons on the collar too?
Yeah, there's buttons under here. It's actually, there's no button here, so I can't like button the top one.
You know what? You could put a pole underneath that and sell it to people to go use it
we're out of here.
Nice umbrella.
Pete, Kyle, we appreciate it. CBS Sports HQ, 100 days now to the beginning of the NFL season. Make sure to keep it right here until then.